So how do you actually build a brand that people trust? Because that's the real goal of branding is not just to look good, but to make people feel confident choosing you over anybody else, right? There's so much competition out there. So why would someone choose you over everybody else? And how you do that is through branding, right? And there's five main components to branding. And branding is not like just creating a logo, it's not just creating a website or having colors. And most beginners make this mistake where they focus so many hours on trying to make the perfect logo, for example. But the perfect logo doesn't really contribute much in the beginning. Maybe in the future when you're like a massive corporation that spend millions on having the perfect logo, right? But branding goes far beyond that. And yeah, that's what I want to talk about because email marketing. Yes, email marketing, you make a lot of sales with email marketing. It's one of the most profitable marketing channels out there. But one of the best ways to improve branding is through email marketing is because you have multiple touch points, right? Each email that you have is a touch point and it's much inexpensive compared to, let's say, you do a touch point on ads. And you can do it for social media, like you create organic posts, which definitely helps as well. But the people in your list are people who are actually more invested in your brand. So it's easier to nurture, it's easier to convert. And so if these warm customers or warm audiences are in your list because they sign up to your email list, right? Which takes action, which takes investment. And so they already know your brand and they also like your brand to do that. You can move them to another step where they become even hotter audiences, even hotter, like raving fans. And so that's what you can do for email marketing. So the five key components of branding is, well, number one is clarity. So in your emails, you need to make everything easy to understand because if you don't, conversion is the biggest killer of sales and branding as well. Because if people are not aware of your mission, if they're not sure about what you stand for, if they don't understand about your product, then there's no connection to be made, right? So branding doesn't exist if there is always uncertainty. So make sure everything is clear. Make it simple to read the copy, right? Make it seem like, write the copy as if you're talking to a seventh grader. And yeah, don't use overly technical words unless you have like a premium luxury brand. Then yeah, you can get away with that. But for most brands, just speak human. You know, don't just use what AI gives you, like ChatGPT, because ChatGPT uses fancy words that a lot of people don't understand. So you want to be safe and just write simple copy. Number two is consistency. So consistency is about a recognizable. Do you have the same voice, same tone? Are you congruent with your messaging? Um, for example, in your Facebook ads, you say 10% off. In the emails, you would put 10% off, right? If there's the urgency, let's say it ends today, then everywhere should be the same thing, right? There's congruency. And also, recognize our consistency is about showing up, right? So a lot of brands aren't sending enough emails. So the sweet spot to send how many emails per week is 2 to 4 emails per week. And also that's on top of flows as well. And to less than that, let's say you're doing less than two, a lot of people aren't going to open your emails, right? The average open rate for email marketing is 30%. That's excluding Apple iOS 15 inflation. So 30% is the average. And so if 30% of people are gonna, let's say you send one email a week, only 30% of people would read that email. So you're missing out on 70% of people, right? But if you send a second email, there's gonna be more people who would read the emails, right? You give them more chances to see your emails. And also something that people don't really take note is that even if people aren't opening your emails, a lot of them will still see your brand name in the inbox. So you're still showing up. So if you're consistent with 2 to 4 emails per week, then that improves your branding as well. So number three is personality. Oh, thank you. Appreciate the compliment, Lim. Hope you're doing well. Number three is personality. So each brand every successful brand, every successful influencer has a personality. For example, like Apple, right? If you have an Apple product, you're perceived as like cool, you're sleek, you're aspirational. But if you use a Microsoft, like if you're in Microsoft, you're more technical, professional. Nike, you're more motivational. Tesla, you're more like futuristic. So each brand that you know that is successful has a personality, and so you want to like, how do you want people to perceive your brand? That's important to note. The fourth point is emotionality. So to create a strong bond with your audiences, you need to be emotional, because people buy based on emotion and justify based on logic, right? And so what you need to do is you need to tap into the deep frustrations, you need to talk about the aspirations, you're going to talk about and how you can relieve the pains and make them feel belonged in a community. Because if you do all that, it is evokes strong emotions, and strong emotions create strong bonds, right? So you want to speak to the way they want to be spoken to, and to do that, you need to truly understand what they're going through. So you need to refine your customer avatar. So every brand, before we work with them, or before we create any emails, is that we have to establish a strong understanding of the customer avatar. Because once we do that, then it's easier to create the emails, because we understand the pain, and so we can tap on this pain point through one of the emails, right? And if you could explain the problems, if you can give a solution, if you can make them feel understood more than they understand themselves, you will be perceived as an expert, right? So a lot of people don't recognize what truly is the underlying problem they have. So they have a problem, but what causes that problem? You can mention it. And if they don't know about that root problem, and you can mention it and let them be aware of it, then they will trust you more, right? Because they would understand, like, hey, this brand truly understands me. I didn't know this. And they truly get me. So they probably have a good solution, right? Right? So if you make them feel understood, people will trust you more. That's the fourth point. And the fifth point is trust. So all the points that I mentioned leads to trust. But trust is also doing what you say, right? Delivering what you promise. So if you say that your product has this feature and it's very high quality, then it has to be very high quality. Because everything you develop, there's four first points, even if they're perfect. But if you don't do what you say, that just ruins everything, right? That ruins all trust. Because it takes a lot to build a reputation, but if you mess up this, it just ruins the whole reputation. And also, building trust is being transparent. So if you have a problem, if you're going through something, just let them know. You know, if the shipping is delayed due to COVID-19, for example, just let them know the reason why, you know, the orders are being delayed. And people are more understanding than you think. And they really appreciate if you are honest with them. And also, trust is about providing value. So a lot of brands make this mistake of just doing sales. They do sales over and over again. And if you keep doing that, it seems like you don't really care about your customers. You're just trying to profit out of them, right? So what you need to do is provide value. That could be educational, that could be entertainment, that could be sharing new opinions. I don't know, letting them, for example, like I talked about with the problem, right? Letting them be aware of what is the actual problems that they're going through. So that's how you build trust. So the 5 key components is clarity, consistency, personality, emotionality, and trust. And so whenever you create an email, keep these 5 components in mind. Because if you do this, this is how you stand out from your competitors. And this is how you make it easy for people to trust your brand and choose you. And once they choose you and your product is good, they will choose you over and over again, right? It's just the first sale has the most friction. Like you have to it takes more effort to show up, right? If you start something new, the scariest part is the first step. So you need to get the foot in the door, basically. Yeah, so if you do build a strong brand is like a stronghold, like a cult, right? So, for example, Gymshark, you know, Gymshark has a strong brand, has a strong following. It's like a cult-like mentality, and when you have that, people are so loyal to your brand they will share your brand to other people, and they'll be proud about wearing your product. You know, the people who wear Gymshark clothes, they are proud about wearing Gymshark clothes. So with your product or your services, they should be proud of what they're working with, right? And they'll share with other people. And it's all about loyalty. Because back in 2019, like it's so easy to make sales. Just spend money on Facebook ads and then you make a sale. But right now, it's more difficult than ever because competition is fierce. You need to establish a strong brand to be profitable. And a lot of e-commerce owners are more aware of this now, which I'm glad. And yeah, one of the best ways to improve branding is through email marketing. So make sure you don't forget about that. Don't just focus on sales, where most brands just focus on sales. And don't get me wrong, like email marketing is very great with making sales, but one of the biggest benefits is also the branding aspect, because each email you send is a touch point, like I mentioned before. The more touch points, the more familiar, the more opportunities you can express yourself as a brand, and that's how you distinguish yourself as from other people. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna head to the cafe now, do some client work. Hope you guys are doing great. And if you have any questions, just let me know. If you need help with email marketing, just DM me. I'll reach out. I'll do a free audit on your account, give you free tips on what you can change. Thank you. And then make sure you take care of the fishes. I sent you. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next live. Take care.